Hey guys, I'm Jamie Eves, and I am doing The Jew Among Thorns. It is a German folktale by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm. I am doing something different. Bear with me. I've practiced several times, and the animation may just be a little bit off, but it's still pretty cute and cheesy, which I love cute and cheesy, so I hope you enjoy it. And again, if the animation's not perfect, you still pretty much get the gist, because I'm tired of practicing this, to be honest with you. Here we go. Once upon a time, there was a rich man who had a servant who served him diligently and honestly. Every morning, he was the first out of bed, and at night, he was the last to go to sleep. Whenever there was a difficult job that no one wanted to do, he was always the first to volunteer. He never complained about this and was content and always so happy. When his year was over, the master gave him no wages, thinking that this was a smart thing to do to save time and money, and so the servant wouldn't leave. The servant said nothing but did his work the second year as he'd done before. But at the end of this year, he still received no wages. But he did stay on without complaining. When the third year passed, the master still didn't pay him, which kind of confused the servant. This time the servant said, "Master, I've served you honestly for 3 years. Be so good as to give me what is rights I have coming to me. I'd like to be on my way and see some of the world." "Yes, my good servant," answered the old miser. "You have served me without complaint. You shall be kindly rewarded." With this, he put his hand in his pocket and counted out 3 hellers one at a time, saying, "You have a heller for each year." Not many people would do this. The good servant, who understood a little bit about money, put the wealth into his pocket and thought, now I have a full purse. Why should I worry and continue to plague myself with work?" So he set forth up and down the hill, singing and jumping for joy. Now it came to pass that he passed by a thicket, and a little dwarf stepped out and called, "Where are you headed, Brother Mary? You don't seem to be burdened down with cares." "Well, why should I be?" answered the servant. "I have everything I need. 3 years of wages are jingling in my pocket." "How much is your treasure?" the dwarf asked. "How much? 3 hellers in real money, precisely counted." "Listen," the dwarf said, "I'm poor and needy. Give me your hellers. I can't work, but you're young and you can easily earn your bread." Now, the servant had a good heart and felt pitied for the dwarf, so he gave him the 3 hellers, saying, "In God's name, I'm not going to miss this." The dwarf said, "Because I see you have a good heart, I'm going to grant you 3 wishes." "Oh, you're a miracle worker." "Well, if that's true, I want a blowpipe that's going to hit anything I aim at, and a fiddle that when I play it, whoever hears it has to dance. And third, whenever I ask a favor, I want it to be granted." "You're going to have all that," said the dwarf. He reached into the bush and said, "What do you think? There's going to be a fiddle and a blowpipe," just as they'd been ordered. He gave them to the servant, saying, "No one's going to deny your request that you might make." "What more could my heart desire?" said the servant. Soon he met a Jew who was standing listening to a bird singing. "One of God's miracles," he said. "I wish I had it." "Well, if that's all you want, the bird's going to be yours." He took aim, hit it precisely, and the bird fell down into a thorn hedge. "Rogue," he said to the Jew, "go and fetch that bird out for yourself." "My goodness, don't call me a rogue, sir. But I'll be a dog and go get the bird for myself. After all, you're the one that shot it." He lay down on the ground and began to crawl into the thicket. When he was in the middle of the thorns, the good servant couldn't resist the temptation. He picked his fiddle up and began to play. The Jew's legs immediately began to move, and he jumped up. The more the servant fiddled, the better went the dance. But the thorns were ripping apart the Jew's shabby coat, combed his beard, and pricked and pinched all over his body. "My goodness," cried the Jew, "what do I want with your fiddling? Stop playing, sir. I don't want to dance." But the servant didn't listen. He thought to himself, "You fleece people often enough. Now the thorn hedge is going to do the same to you." He began to play all over again. "Oh, woe is me," cried the Jew. "I will give the gentleman anything he asks, if only he'll just quit fiddling, even a purse filled with gold." "Well, that's generous. Okay, I'll stop playing." So the Jew stood there quietly and started cursing and screaming, and he decided that he was going to get his own little revenge. So he took off to the town judge. Well, I'm a little ahead of the story, so there we go. He took off to the judge. "Judge, sir," he said, "oh, woe is me. See how a godless man has robbed me and abused me in the open road. A stone on the ground would feel sorry for me. My clothes are ripped into shreds. My body is pricked and scratched to pieces. And what little I own has been taken away with my purse. Genuine ducats, each piece more beautiful than the other. For God's sake, let this man be thrown into prison." The judge said, "Was it a soldier that cut you up?" "Oh, God forbid. He didn't have a naked dagger, but a blowpipe hanging from his neck." The judge decided that he was going to go ahead and send people after him. They found the good servant. He was walking along quite slowly, and they found the purse with him as well. When he was brought before the judge, he said, "I didn't touch the Jew or take his money. He offered it to me so that I'd stop fiddling." "Oh, God forbid," cried the Jew. "He's reaching for lies." Just like flies on the wall. The judge didn't believe the story either and said that's a poor excuse. No Jew would do that. And because he had committed robbery on the open road, the good servant was sentenced to the gallows. As he was being led away, the Jew screamed after him, "You good-for-nothing, you dog of a musician. Now you're going to receive your well-earned reward." The servant walked quietly up the ladder with the hangman, but on the last ring he turned and said to the judge, "Please just grant me one wish." "Well, sure, but just don't ask for your life." He goes, "Oh, no, I just want to play my fiddle one last time." The Jew cried out, "Oh, please don't let him do it. Please don't let him do it. Tie me up." The good servant took his fiddle around his neck and made ready. As he played the first stroke, they all began to quiver and shake, and the judge and the clerks and all of them. The rope fell out of the hand of the one who was going to tie up the Jew. At the second stroke, they all lifted their legs. The hangman released the good servant and made ready for the dance. Finally, the judge, quite out of breath, said, "I'll give your life. Just stop fiddling." The good servant listened to this, took his fiddle and hung it around his neck and climbed down the ladder. He went to the Jew, who was lying on the ground, grasping for air, and said, "You rogue, now you confess to where you got your money, or I'll take my fiddle off my neck and begin to play again." I stole it, he cried, "but you have honestly earned it." With that, the judge had the Jew led to the gallows and hanged as a thief. Well, I was a little bit ahead of the story, but again, you kind of get the gist. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Well, good night.